Do you remember when we used to watch live sports on TV? Today would have been the day millions gathered to watch the NCAA Men's Basketball National Championship. Every game up to today would have been the last for the team that lost. Think about when teams would grasp for hope desperately at the end of a game. When your team is down by 5 with 30 seconds to go, they'd go into fouling mode. Even when it was my favorite team, it was agony to watch as the seconds were stretched into minutes, while the other team made just enough free throws to keep them at bay. Sure, there were examples of exciting victories, but far more than not, the suffering of the losing team and their fans was just extended and seemed to go on forever. It's been almost 2 weeks since our governor asked us all to stay at home in order to limit the spread of the coronavirus. For some, it's felt as if this trial has been stretched on for not just 2 weeks. It feels more like 2 months, maybe even 2 years. Consider, too, for some, maybe these days were not just the beginning of the trial. Maybe your family's been fighting financial difficulties even before businesses had started shutting down. Or could it be that a family member has been struggling with health issues, such as cancer, long before the coronavirus was even in the news? It feels as if the struggles will be endless and there's no end in sight. Do you feel tired today? Like you're unable to continue the fight? Jeremiah, the writer of Lamentations, felt the same as he experienced the siege and destruction of Jerusalem and the chaos that came along with it, impacting homes, businesses, and families. In the midst of it all, he said, "My strength has perished, and so has my hope from the Lord." I can imagine Jeremiah had reached the limit of his strength physically, emotionally, and spiritually. He could do no more. Are you feeling as if your life is under siege, that the attacks upon you are continual, and even when they do stop, there's nowhere to turn for relief? You're not alone, and you're not forgotten. When Jeremiah reached this point of despair, we can see in Lamentations chapter 3 where he turned for help and for hope, because in chapter 3 we find a remarkable transition in his attitude. His hopelessness turned to the Lord as he remembered the Lord. Jeremiah 3:20-23 says, "Surely my soul remembers as is bowed down within me. This I recall to my mind, therefore I have hope. The Lord's loving kindnesses never cease, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness." The basis for Jeremiah's transformation in attitude and a renewed hope was focused on God's great love and his compassions. He saw God's love and compassion playing out in a time of destruction, and we can find that same hope today as well. If there's a week that we too can find a transformation in our own attitude and a renewed hope, it's this week. There's no greater reminder of God's great love and compassion than at Easter. We remember God's love in that he sent his Son so that whoever believes in him will not perish, but have eternal life. We recognize God's love because that act of love was not easy for the Father. He was sending his Son to die on a cross for a crime that he was completely innocent of. We find God's compassion in knowing that Jesus was not forced upon the cross. Jesus chose willingly to go to the cross to meet a need, not his own, but our need, a need that we are incapable of meeting on our own. We cannot pay the debt we owe for our sin. Without the cross, there is no satisfaction of God's justice. Without the cross, our debt could not have been paid. Our strength and hope can only rest surely in God's love and compassion, for anything less will surely fail. This week, if your strength is at its end and you've lost sight of your hope, my prayer is that you would remember God's love and compassion during this Easter week, and in remembering, your hope would be renewed. I want to encourage you to consider taking the time to read Luke chapters 22-24 as they describe God's love at the cross. And I want to invite you to join us to remember together on Good Friday at 7 p.m. on Facebook Live and again on Easter morning as we rejoice in his love together. John 3:16 says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life." Our strength and our hope rests in the truth of God's love and compassion.